Hello from Vendia. I hope you're excited to create your first universal application, or Uni. If you haven't checked it out already, I'd recommend watching the What is a Uni video before this one. Today, we're going to create our first universal application through the web interface. Let's dive in. We're going to start today by logging into the share.vendia.net website. Here we'll be taken to the Uni Dashboard, where you'll see I have one Uni already deployed. Let's create a new one. The Create a New Uni interface presents us with everything we need to define our universal application. Let's start by providing a Uni name. For this video, we'll simply call it test-video. Next, let's move on to the node configuration. We're presented initially with one node. I'm going to go ahead and make another. Remember, nodes could be representative here of different regions, different accounts, or perhaps different partners. For the sake of argument for this video, let's imagine we have two different partners. We'll make test node our manufacturer, and we'll make the other node our retailer, representing two different parties. I'll go ahead and define a different region for the other node to demonstrate that capability. And I'm going to leave user ID the same for both. The user ID does have to be a registered user with Vendia Share Service. So for the purposes of this demo, these will both be my nodes. Moving to the right side of the interface, you'll see our Uni schema. This schema is going to provide us with some product information that will be useful when conducting business between the two entities here, our manufacturer and our retailer. We won't go into all the depths of the JSON schema that we use in this video, but you're free to check that out on your own, and we'll probably have some follow-up videos that do a technical deep dive on some of the attributes and how they're used. What's important to know today is that indeed this is product information, and what we're representing by the schema is that we will have an array, so a collection of objects that have these specific product properties. So they'll have product name, product SKU, description, price, and a collection of strings that will be tags. So we'll be able to apply some metadata through tags to each product. Along with that, you'll see we have a size field that is actually using an enumeration. Enums or enumerations are a way that we can constrain what type of data that you can provide for a field. So in this case of the field size, we're actually constraining that only these specific options are available. So this will be important as we work with this data later on. Looking back to the left, our initial state is our opportunity to pre-populate some data into our Uni. So if we have data that we know that we want to bring in from another system, or perhaps something just to prime us in terms of getting started, this is our opportunity to do so as we create the Uni. For the purposes of this video, we've defined a couple of products here. So you'll see 1, 2, and 3 awesome products with some descriptions and some tags, prices, sizes, etc. So that'll give us a nice place to start. Let's go ahead and create the new Uni. We'll see it get registered, and then it will be provisioning, which takes about 4 minutes. So we'll probably fast forward the video and rejoin you here in 4 minutes. All right, 4 minutes have gone by and our Uni has been created, and you'll see that we are presented now with the display for both nodes that we've requested, manufacturer as well as retailer, and they both have a status of running, which is great. Before we dive into the resources displayed here, let's quickly touch on what's happened in the background. So in a matter of minutes, we've actually deployed a multi-party, multi-region, cloud-based application that's using our data model and actually contains the data that we populated via the initial state. In addition, resources have been provisioned for us for each node that will allow us to interact with the data. Let's quickly walk through some of the resources and how we'll use them. The first 3 here are speaking toward our GraphQL API. So given our data model, with 0 code, a GraphQL API was actually generated and configured for each node. This will allow us to perform queries, to list and get data, as well as mutations to put and update data. SQS and the SNS topic resource here are actually used for subscriptions. So if we want to do some real-time processing or some downstream integration with another system, those will become very useful. We won't cover those in this video, but I encourage you to check out the documentation for examples on that configuration. The last resource here is the S3 bucket. That will be used if we were to put files or blob data into the node. For the purposes of this video, we're going to work with GraphQL via the GraphQL Explorer. This is a utility that will allow us to perform queries and mutations on each node. We'll go ahead and start with the manufacturer node and simply click the Open GraphQL Explorer button, which presents us with the interface. The interface for GraphQL Explorer is pretty simple. On the left, we have an Explorer that will list the available queries and mutations and help us to build those. The middle is our working space where we can work to further define those queries, organize attributes, etc. And the right side will show us results. When we first open up GraphQL Explorer, we are provided with some sample material here in the middle column. I'm going to go ahead and just select all and delete that to reset our interface. At the very bottom, you'll see an Add New. We're able to select query, mutation, or subscription from this combo box to help us set up a query or mutation or to define a new subscription event. Let's start with queries. So queries are our way of getting data out of a node. Again, each node has a GraphQL API that is stood up behind it. So in our multi-party, multi-region application, we have a GraphQL endpoint for our manufacturer node, as well as a endpoint for our retailer node. We're looking here at the manufacturer node, and you can quickly just double check the address there to verify that. Let's take a look at a sample query. And we'll start with list products. Again, products are part of the schema that we defined when we created the Uni, and we'll see the attributes that we listed there defined here under the products dropdown. As we select these in the query, they will populate on the workspace here, and we'll see that we start to build a new GraphQL query using the list products operation. And for every product returned, we would like to get this collection of fields. Let's go ahead and see that in action. We'll hit the execute green play button here, and we'll see indeed we have 3 products. If you recall, these are the 3 products that we provided in the initial state for the Uni. So these were pieces of data that were injected during the creation of the Uni. We'll see that all the attributes there and the values that we provided are showing, and we also have an ID for each product that was added by the system to make these unique. Next, let's take a look at a mutation. So I'm going to go ahead and clear our display here, and from the bottom, Add New. I'm going to select Mutation and hit the plus sign. That's going to change our Explorer view to show us all the available mutation operations. We'll go ahead and add a new product since we've been working with products. You'll see that there is nothing here in the workspace just yet, but we have to, again, just click the fields to get them to show over there. So for the sake of this mutation, let's simply provide another description. We'll call this demo product. We'll call the product itself demo. Let's make the price 100. Size, let's use S for small. SKU can be 1, 2, 3. And tags, again, can be a list of any strings, but we don't really need to specify those, so we can just take those off if we want to. And you'll see that on the left side in the Explorer, that actually got unchecked there. So there is a nice relationship between the working query here and the Explorer model. Let's try to run that and see what happens. All right, so let's talk about the output here. So we have a return value here for add product async, and that's the name of our operation. We were asynchronously creating a new product. And we have an error field that's null. If you're not familiar with GraphQL, this is pretty common to see as far as patterns go, that an error attribute will be provided. If an error had occurred, say that for some reason our mutation was not working, this would have been populated with some data that reflected why. If we go back to the Explorer here, and expand the result column here, we can actually include a few more fields. in such a result. So if I wanted to know, for example, my node owner, ID, submission time, I could expand this query. Let's go ahead and run another one. I'll say this is demo product 2 and demo 2, and we'll keep the other attributes the same. I'm updating these because as I execute another query, it is going to indeed add another product. Go ahead and do that. This time you'll see, because I do have some additional fields here or attributes specified for my result, that they are showing. Let's talk briefly about what we have here. So again, error is null, so that's actually a positive indication that there was no error. And we have a few more fields that we've selected. Node owner is very useful in Unis because this will actually tell you where the data was sent in. So in this case, we're actually working from the manufacturer node. If we'd applied this mutation from the retailer node, it would have been named accordingly. The ID is the unique identifier for the new record, so we could then subsequently go use this elsewhere in other queries. Submission time is pretty self-explanatory. That's when we put this record through. And TXID and TX version are used by this system for transactional purposes. Let's go ahead and expand upon the example just slightly. We'll grab that generated ID and let's get rid of our mutation. We're going to perform another query. Before we called list products, let's call get product. So this will be the way to get a specific single entry. And I'm going to go ahead and paste in the ID that was returned from our add product. So this should get our most recent addition. Great, so I did not specify any attributes other than ID right now, so that's the only thing being returned. But the fact that that did get returned tells me that the data is returning fine. Let's go ahead and add some attributes so that we can see what's behind that identifier. And again, we'll see demo product 2, demo 2, and all the other items. Great. So what if we want to validate that from another node? Well, we can copy this query. Let's go back to the Explorer dashboard here. And we can open Explorer from the retailer node. So you'll see the name here, retailer, is showing in the middle as well as in the URL path. And again, sample data, so let's get rid of that. And I'll paste in my query from the other node and simply execute it. Awesome. So we see demo product 2, demo 2, all the same attributes, and of course the same identifier. This is interesting because this is actually the part of the application that is representative of our other party, the retailer, in a different AWS region. And we didn't have to do anything to get that data to the other party or to the other region. They're on the network of nodes within this universal application, so the data is available in real time. And subsequently, if we added a new product from this node, we'd be able to query that from the manufacturer node as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick demonstration of how easy it is to get started with Vendia Share and universal applications. In just a matter of minutes, you can create an application that spans across clouds, regions, accounts, and even partners, backed by a data model that you create, presented through an API that requires zero code. The options to build upon this system are endless, and we hope you check back for more videos that show you a little bit more about our capabilities in the future. You can get started today with Uni's share.vendia.net.